Today on our 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 2500, we'll be taking a look at and installing the Airlift LoadLifter 5000 Ultimate Air Helper Springs with internal jounce bumpers, part number AL88338. Now we're going to go ahead and get a measurement before we put any weight in the back of the truck to see what the stock ride height is. Now measuring from the center of the tire at the ground to the top here of the fender well is going to be about 42 3/4 inches. Now we'll go ahead and put in some weight. Now with about 2,750 pounds of water in the back and weight, we're going to see what our measurement is now. We're looking at about 40 inches. So we lost about 2 3/4 inches of our height. Now let's see how it rides with the stock suspension. With that kind of weight and losing that much ride height, it's going to cause the rear of the vehicle to sag, as we can see here in the slalom portion of the course. Now if we go over our alternating bumps, it really has some up and down movement and sways side to side. Now we will go over the single bumps. As we go over the bump, you can really see the excessive jaunce and rebound because of the weight. Now with our airbags installed, we'll go ahead and put some weight in the bed of the truck. Now let's go ahead and get a measurement for our height with our load in. You can see right here we're sitting at 42 3/4 inches. We're at our stock ride height now with our airbags in and 2,700 plus pounds of water in the back and our loaded down truck. Now with our new airbags installed, we will take it through the same test course. As we go through the slalom course, you can see that it has very little body roll. The alternating bumps show that our new airbags really give us good controlled response. And the single bumps show our ride quality and controlled response as well. First thing we're going to need to do in our installation of our airbag is go ahead and remove the jaunce stops here on the bottom. You're going to see this rubber piece here. Not all of them are going to be the same, but they should all have the same cup here at the top. We're just going to take a flat blade screwdriver, push down, and kind of pry up underneath of it until we can get all the way over the top and pull it out completely. Next thing we're going to do is remove the brake line bracket located here to free up some room, as well as the bracket located here running from this brake line. We'll go ahead and take a little ratchet wrench and undo that one there. It's going to be a 13 millimeter. Once you have this bolt out, you can discard it because it will no longer be needed or reused once we're done. And that'll free up the room for our bottom bracket to come in place. Next, let's go ahead and do the one up top. With the bolt out, we'll go ahead and remove the bracket, unhook our brake line, and pull it down and out of the way. This is going to be your emergency brake cable that we're moving out of the way. And we're just going to pull it down to the inside of the axle until we get our airbags in place and we can relocate it. Now all this area here should be freed up and ready to place in your airbags. Keep in mind that everything we're doing here on the driver's side is going to be repeated on the passenger side. You're going to have brackets as well on the bottom that you'll need to remove, but you won't have that top emergency brake cable to remove on the passenger side. All right, and here we have our parts to assemble our driver's side airbag. Now you're also going to have your airline with your airline fittings on the end, as well as your heat shield and your attachments for that airline. Go ahead and set those off to the side and pre-assemble our airbag. To do so, we'll take our airbag. It's going to have the 3 pieces here on top. This bigger one's going to be where our air fitting's going to go. The 2 are going to be our recessed bolts. On the bottom side, you're just going to see 2. So we'll start with this side. We're going to take our plate, flip it upside down, and lay it over the top. That way all the holes line up where the cutouts are, and it cups our airbag. Next, we'll take our air fitting, which is going to be this guy here. Once we have it started, we'll hand tighten it down as far as we can, and note that that piece up here where the airline goes in will rotate around. So we're going to need to tighten down this part here. We're going to then turn it 1.5 turns around. So hold the airbag on the bottom, Go 1 full turn and a half more. Then we can rotate that around. Next, we're going to take our upper bracket. Now, on our brackets, you're going to see that one side is going to sit up higher than the other side. Also, one side's going to have a bigger bracket than the other side. Another indicator is going to be the letter here, which you can see is going to be an L for left side or driver's side. The other one will have a R or right and passenger side. We'll set this over the top, just like so, where our holes line up. Now the big thing with these brackets is make sure you have it on the right side, because you can see that the one side it's going to kind of be angled. And it's going to be angled to meet up with the frame of your vehicle. Take 2 of your recessed bolts, drop them in, and hand thread them in as far as you can. Once you have them hand threaded in, we'll then go ahead and tighten them down. Once we have those tightened down, we're then going to flip it over and do our other side. Locate your air fitting and point the pointy part of the triangular bracket or lower bracket towards that air fitting. Line up the holes and then thread in your recessed bolts like we did on the other side. Thread them in by hand first to ensure that you don't cross thread them. Once you have them started, we'll go ahead and use a drill and thread them down the rest of the way. When placing your driver's side airbag in place, we'll have to kind of work it around all of our lines and cables, making sure that we're not getting hung up or caught on anything. Slide in the bottom first, push down, and rotate the top into place, then we can slide it back till it's straight. If you look on the back of your bracket, it should almost be even with the factory jounce bracket on the base. Now if you look on the side, you should be able to see the factory holes here straight through the gap. Well, we want to try and line up this bracket as best as we can. So we'll go ahead and pry it over. Just nice and easy. And once those holes line up, we'll be all set and ready to place in our bracket. This should be the place where you're going to mount it. Also, if you look at the airbag, it's almost going to be perpendicular from the bottom to the top. We're now going to have to pre-drill and drill out our center holes using the top bracket as a template. Do one side first, anchor your bolt loosely, and then pre-drill and drill out your other side to the final dimensions noted in the instructions. Then we will secure it using the self-tapping screws. Now we'll take our bottom bracket and put it in place. Remember to have the U shape fitting around your axle. Once you have it into place, go ahead and slide through the carriage bolt, just like so. Place a washer and a lock nut in place. And repeat that on the other side. We're going to thread them down as evenly as possible on both sides. Now with our bottom bracket in place, we'll re-secure that brake line bracket that we removed before. You can tell how the holes are lined up. We'll take the small bolt and flat washer, put them into the bracket hole, and thread them in. Now let's go ahead and put our passenger side airbag in place. Now that we've got our passenger side airbag in place, we're ready to place that heat shield right here. Now with our heat shield, since we're going to be going around the exhaust, we're going to need to bend these center tabs in 90 degrees and then out halfway. So you'll make a small shape L. You can adjust them if you need to on either side. Then we'll take our clamps and clamp it down around the exhaust. Loosen up our clamps like so. Place it over the top reconnect it, and start threading them back down. We're going to leave them loose until we get our heat shield in place. Put your heat shield in place where it's going to guard the airbags the best. Slide your brackets over the top and tighten them down. We're going to mount our air valves right underneath of our spare tire door located there. Go ahead and place down a little bit of tape so we can mark it and drill out our holes. Now we use an old piece of rubber that we had laying around just to kind of use as a template and kind of get us a centered area where we want to drill out our holes. And we're going to put one there and one there. This whole area here should be plastic. When you come through the back side, you're going to come right in between the spare tire and the back bolt and bracket. Take a 5/16 drill bit and go ahead and drill out your holes. Once you got it drilled out, we'll go ahead and remove the tape and expose our holes. Now we'll go ahead and thread on one of our nuts and place on a star washer. Bring the side through. Then on the other side, we're going to place our rubber washer, flat washer, and another one of our nuts. And go ahead and tighten it down. There should be a 1/2 inch of air valve exposed. And we'll repeat that for the other one right next to it. Now with both of those in place, we'll place the end caps on and tighten them down. Now we'll go ahead and cut our air line in half. Go ahead and pull it back until it's tight and you can see the halfway point. Use an airline cutter, part number AL10530. Then we can route it to each side. Here you can see our air lines running out of the back. They're going to run to the side that they correspond with. If it's on the driver's side, it's going to run to the driver's side, and passenger side to the passenger side. Running back along the back side of the bumper, and then jogging along the frame and dropping down into the airbags. The only one you need to be cautious of is going to be the passenger side. You can see it running here, and then going along the top of the frame and wire loom, and dropping back down into our airbag. To fit it in the airbag, you're going to cut it to length, press it in and pull out to ensure that it stays in. The passenger side is going to run along the top of the frame, attaching to our wire harness here, bring it down along the frame, and then we've placed on our heat shield and protectant over the top of the hose before we put it in to the top of the airbag. Now we'll go ahead and take off our caps and put in a little bit of air. And that will do it for our review and installation of the Airlift LoadLifter 5000 Ultimate Air Helper Springs with internal joust bumpers. Part number AL88338 on our 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 2500.